Okay, welcome everybody. I am Colleen and I am joined by my amazing friend Crystal. And this is the Food Explorer podcast and we are going to have an amazing conversation about food.
Yes.
We both love food.
Yep.
And so we have known each other for actually quite a long time, but give everybody your background.
Okay. Yeah, and I won't, I'll give the short story.
Okay.
Because it's like a little long. Well, okay, what kind of do you want, like more like what I'm doing now or like how I got into it?
Yeah, so you are, in my opinion, Crystal is the best raw food chef in the world. No, she is. She's being... But you do a lot of raw food, vegan, gluten-free. But you've also, gone beyond that. You've created an academy. You have really become, in my opinion, an expert in so many things. So I guess the first thing would be, how did you get into that line of the food industry?
Yeah. Okay, so, well, it all started with my passion for raw food. As you know, I started eating raw back in 2013, a high raw vegan diet because I was getting sick all the time in the office I was working in, and I was constantly catching everything that everybody was sick with. And then so I was at home doing some research on the computer because I was sick. I was off work sick for like a whole month because I had like one thing back to back. And I'm like, clearly my body is telling me something. So I started looking online for detoxes and cleanses. I'm like, I need to build back up my immunity. And I came across a 21-day raw food meal plan. Do you remember the Young and Raw?
Oh, I do remember.
They're from Vancouver.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was their raw food meal plan. It was like the biggest raw food blog online at the time. And I did the 21 days and I fell in love with the food because I was never a cook before. I hated cooking. It never excited me. I mean, cooking for me was gluten-free toast, scrambled eggs, and instant oatmeal. And so this was my diet. Yeah, and so this is why I was getting sick all the time. I'm not getting any fruits and vegetables, the hydration, the micronutrients that our bodies need in order to heal and function on a cellular level. And so I fell in love with the creativity of it, but also how it made me feel, right? So at the time I was eating pescatarian. So after the 21-day raw food detox, I stopped eating pescatarian and I went straight into full vegan. And I just never looked back because I just lost the taste for seafood and eggs because those were the only animal products that I was eating at that time. Because like cutting out animal products throughout my life was very progressive since I was a child. It was just like, a few years, another thing cut out, a few years later, another thing cut out, just intuitively, just because I knew that I didn't like it. So then fast forward to a couple of years later, I started to want to do this professionally because I loved raw food so much. I wanted to tell the whole world about it. And so I started taking courses. Actually, and I don't know if we talk about this a lot, but the very first class I ever took, so this is how I found Colleen. I really got into raw chocolate and desserts because I'm obsessed with desserts. Like I have such a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
And chocolate, who doesn't love chocolate? And I was looking for a raw food class or raw chocolate classes in person, and Colleen was running them at the time at home. Yeah. And I joined one of her classes, and that was literally the first culinary class, like first culinary anything that I ever took. So that honestly started. So you were like the catalyst of my whole career.
No,
I'm serious.
No, you were already doing amazing because we had met. Because really quick, I was a raw vegan gluten-free chef for years. My switch to vegan was overnight. I had moved from Denmark to Vegas and I got so sick because I was eating super healthy food in Denmark. So in Denmark, there's a fat tax on junk food. Yeah. And then I moved to Vegas, which is the worst of the worst. Oh my gosh, every junk food you can imagine. Yeah. And then you and I had met and you were like, can you do a raw chocolate class? And I was like, I've been wanting to do one forever. So we had a couple students here and it was so much fun. Yeah, it was so much fun. And you probably thought I was nuts because I was just starting my food blog. And so I had my camera and practicing taking photos. And all that stuff, right? But look at how those photos have turned out now because now you have your own academy. You are filming incredible content and videos. And, I was looking at your press kit. So you have Crystal Dawn Culinary
Yeah.
But okay, let's back up a step.
Yeah.
You took lots of courses. I mean,
Yeah.
we both went to Matthew Kenny
Yeah.
Culinary
Yeah.
forever ago.
Yeah.
Does it still exist?
No, because remember he sold it to Plant Lab, and then Plant Lab had a huge.
Did they have a lawsuit?
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into it, but yeah, you can find it all online. It was
Look
a big
online.
scandal. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So he has Food Future Institute now.
Yeah. So we had actually both taken course.
Mm-hmm.
I took it online. You took it in person.
I took it online.
You took it online?
Yeah, in 2015.
Right.
Because I was still working. I was still working here full time, and I took it online. Yeah.
Yeah. And both of us, we talked a lot afterwards about things that were missing from the course.
Yeah.
And I think both of us felt like there was big gaps in the course. Mm-hmm. And so then you went and did courses kind of all over the place.
Yeah. I did in-person courses in Bali. I did a ton of online courses. Of course, Amy Levin, did all her
amazing
dessert courses.
Yeah.
Geez, I can't even remember like where else I took courses. But
you did one in the UK?
Oh yeah, in London.
Yes.
Yeah. Wild Food Cafe. I did a plant-based cooking course there. So that was a mixture of raw and cooking, but I really liked because their huge focus is health. Mm-hmm. So it's a different kind of, even if you're cooking vegan, like they were really focused on the healthy side of vegan. So
yes.
I loved that course. That was so fun. And then I just kept getting and then I started a farmer's market business here.
Which you had to fight for.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember. Yeah.
My gosh.
It's so hard to get into the farmers markets here in Edmonton. Yeah.
So hard. And the thing is, it was funny because I remember when you applied for the farmers market and they were like, your category's full. And you're like, my category of raw, vegan, and gluten-free is full.
Yeah. Because they were putting me in the same category as vegan baking. Which was
not what you were doing.
Yeah, so I had to fight. Yeah, so I tried 1 year, didn't get in, and that's fine because you know what, I wasn't ready anyways. Mm-hmm. And then the next year, so I went to Bali for my first time in 2017. I went for a month because it's like raw food heaven there. Raw food cafe and juice bar on every corner. I never ate so healthy in my life, and I took in-person courses there. Mm-hmm. And then I toured the chocolate farms because I was getting I really wanted to see how chocolate was made and how it was grown and all of this, right? So then I came back and went back to my full-time job here in Edmonton and, of course, just felt so lost. I'm like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
So I applied for the farmers market and I fought for it this time because I said, if I get into the markets full-time, if I'm doing them every Saturday, I'm quitting my job. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did. I got in, I fought for it. I got my spot. I was switching back and forth between 104th Street and St. Albert.
Yes.
And I quit my job and I was doing chocolate for, I was doing it full time.
Yeah. And it's a big step too, because when you go from that security of a full-time job.
Oh,
with benefits.
With
benefits. I know we live in Canada if you're watching from outside of Canada.
Yeah. Third party.
Let's just not go there. But to make that step.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you have a lot of belief in yourself because your products were amazing.
Thank you.
Your packaging was incredible.
Thanks.
You had
it was so fun.
Fig leaf foods.
Do you remember? That's what it was called. My friend Wade helped me come up with that.
And it was gorgeous design.
Thank you.
Yes.
It was super simple, but just, very, crafty. Like I used the craft packaging one to be kind of really natural. And it was a lot of fun. I learned so much. But I'm like the research queen. So I can go from one thing to another like that. And I do very well and I'm very organized. But even though you said it was a big leap, I thank God I had my husband. So he was, I was making money, but he was supporting me at the time, of course. Mm-hmm. So if I didn't have my husband, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it, right? But honestly, I was so much happier. I couldn't believe, and at the end of the day, even though I was making a really good salary at the last full-time job that I was at, getting the benefits and all this, I was only taking home after taxes and all their deductions, only $3,000 a month.
Yeah.
Okay, that's $1,500 every 2 weeks. That is just I'm working 80 hours every 2 weeks.
And you're like, what am I doing?
This amount of money, and being miserable, it wasn't worth my misery at all. So, I mean, I remember when I quit, I was like, that's the last time I'm ever waking up at 5:30 ever again. And I get up early, like 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
I like to wake up naturally. But no, I remember dancing in my kitchen like the first week that I was totally off, and I'm just doing my farmers market business full time, and I had my whole week organized of everything I had to make. I'm making all my food, and I'm blasting the music, and I'm just dancing away in the kitchen. That was definitely one of the happiest times ever. That the happiest I had, not ever been, but I was just feeling so much joy and happiness, just leaving the corporate world behind. And you know what? I'll never work for someone else ever again.
Yeah.
It's like you probably it's the same. Once you have that entrepreneur, that taste of entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah. And I think food business entrepreneurship, it's funny because, you're like, I'm not going to work for somebody else anymore. And then you work like more hours but it's yours.
It's
right?
yours. It's yours. So different. That's the thing. I mean, I work every day. I barely take days off. Yeah. Like literally, and long days. But what I love about it, because all of and I know we're going way off topic now.
No, this is perfect.
But I want to talk about this because this is really important, because a lot of people watching this might be feeling the same way. Mm-hmm. Every job that I ever had, even though I was a really good employee, I got so bored because I always need to be learning and just soaking up knowledge and information. Mm-hmm. And I would master my job, and I'd be like, okay, what next? And then I would move up to another job, and I'd master that. And then there was only so far forward I could go, especially because I don't have a degree. And, in a lot of these corporate businesses, they won't move you up, unless you have a certain education. So, I mean, I just was getting so bored. And now with my own business, I'm learning something new every single day, just constantly learning, especially because the online industry is changing so fast and so rapidly that it's really hard to keep up. But so you're constantly learning. And so that's what I love about it. It just keeps me on my toes.
Yeah. And it's such a good segue because Crystal has created her own Culinary Academy, which is amazing. We'll put some links into it later. But one of the things that I love about the videos and the instruction that you do is it's not just, here you go, here's a recipe, have fun. You are so hands-on.
Yeah.
Your content is bar none, because it's like when you're watching her videos, she's filming from different angles. So she's got the top-down angles, and you've got all the ingredients laid out. And I think part of the content that you put together is you've now attracted students from around the world. Mm-hmm. So, you made the leap from taking courses to offering courses. And what was sort of the final, I just got to do this for myself?
Yeah. So when I was, and I forgot to mention Pure Joy Academy. So I was working for Pure Joy Academy, which is run by Lena Love and Caitlin Louise. And Lena Love's one of the originals raw food chef OGs. She worked at, she instructed at Living Like Culinary in the States, which was one of the original raw food schools, professional ones.
Yeah.
And so I learned a lot from her and Kate, and I went down and helped them out with their in-person training, raw chef training in the States in Bend, Oregon. That was so much fun. 3 weeks.
Is beautiful.
It is insanely beautiful. But it was so much fun. I learned a lot from them. We had a lot of fun. And then I ended up working for them part-time remotely online, helping them out with our online school. So I got a taste of, I got some experience of what you have to do to set everything up on the back end. And I got some experience there. And I did want to keep working with them, but we just had always a difference in, I just wanted to take everything to the next level. Yeah. For me, quality has always been my thing. And I'm you know what? I think I'm just going to go on my own and just do my own thing. And for me, the biggest investment in the beginning was, and I mean, I didn't even have a team. I had no help. I had to figure everything out on my own.
Yes.
And I hired a videographer. The videography was insanely expensive because the raw dessert course, I had 90 videos.
Yes. Which you keep adding to.
Yeah.
Which is appreciated.
Yeah, not anymore though, right? Because I closed enrollment last year because I'm doing something new. But anyways.
Yes. Which we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah. But so yeah, the videography was a huge investment, and I just took the risk. And it's so crazy after trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And so after the farmers market business, eventually I had moved back to Vancouver, and I was teaching all over the world. But a lot of it I was doing for free because just getting the experience. And then when I moved back to Vancouver, I wanted to get commercial kitchen experience. So I ended up working at a vegan cafe, and I was the raw dessert chef for their cafe. And I mean, back then in 2018, it was minimum wage. I was getting paid $14 an hour.
Wait, you were paid more than me? No, just kidding. Vancouver's very expensive.
It's insane. So, I mean, I went into major debt. Like, I was living off my credit cards, line of credit, but I just knew I had faith. I'm like, something has to give. Something is going to change. And for me, it was just gaining all of that experience, just that was my main thing. All of those years of gaining that experience led me up to doing my raw food school. And then, oh my gosh, I had all my debt paid off like the 1 year after launching my course.
Yeah.
I mean, so it was 100% worth it.
Where is the most far away student that you have?
Oh my gosh. That's hard to say because I feel like there's so many places that are very far away. I mean, I have a student in Morocco. I have some in Colombia.
You got a lot of German students.
A lot of UK, yeah.
A lot of
people in UK love the raw desserts.
Yes.
I have students in Mexico. I have students in Greece. Jeez, everywhere.
And some of your students have actually gone on to start their own raw food businesses.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the whole point. Like, I love to see that. And that was the whole point of the raw dessert chef certification course is I wanted people to have the skills to be able to sell their raw desserts and make a living. Yeah. And being able to do what I did, right?
Yeah. And we did a module together.
Yes. The pricing. Oh my gosh, I love it.
People, you need to price your stuff.
Yes.
Properly.
She is the best at teaching recipe costing. Oh my gosh.
I'm a nerd. I like Excel.
I was just watching that back the other day, actually.
Is it still relevant? Are we still good?
Yeah. Of course it is. Yeah. I know. Yeah. Because I'm going to ask you something later about that.
Okay.
Because I want to use it for something, but it's really good. It was a really good presentation.
So one of the things was, as Crystal was going through and doing all these courses, her students were like, okay, but now I want to open a business. So how do I do it? How do I price it?
Yeah.
And it's hard for somebody when, if you're looking at something like a raw dessert, which you might have ingredients that are a little bit out of like the mainstream or, making sure that it's stable and all of these things. So, pricing and packaging and all that stuff comes into it because it's going to depend on what kind of business you set up. And I think with some of your students, they have set up incredible businesses. Yeah.
Oh yeah. They're amazing, but what I love about it too is how uniquely creative everybody is. Everybody's so different and has their own style, which is great. I mean, that's what you want anyways, right? You want people you don't want copycat, even though for learning purposes, yes, you want to copy stuff, but you eventually want to develop your own unique style, especially so that when people look at it, they recognize that's so-and-so's work. Like it's that recognizable. Right?
Oh, and we all know, like, both of us being in the food industry for as long as we have, you see something and you're like, oh, so-and-so made that. And you just know, exactly. Right? And
like if I'm scrolling on Instagram and I see a photo, like I'll know before I even look at the profile. Yeah.
And it's funny because I took, so I take a lot of courses from like Melissa Copel, Atelier in Vegas. And in the first course I took from her, she's like, I'm going to teach you all my best techniques. Take it from there. Here's the foundation. If you do exactly what I do, everybody will know that you're copying me because her techniques were so, advanced for the time. And I love for your courses because you're very much, here's the foundation. You want to make a crust? Here's how you make a crust. You want to substitute? You want to change it? And one of the things that you're really great at is, yes, if you want to change the ingredients or sugar content or anything, you can do that, but you got to test it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can't just be like, oh, just take an ingredient out.
No, and people need to, but it's funny because you encounter a lot of students who are so scared to make mistakes and test. And I always have to reassure them. I'm like, do you know how many times, you don't, I mean, we all know now. I mean, this is talked about so often, especially, recently, is that you don't learn unless you make mistakes. You have to make mistakes. You have to get messy in the kitchen. That is the whole point of learning. The wonderful thing about raw desserts is most of it can never go to waste. It's always fixable. Like 99% of the time.
You can fix it. Don't worry, friends.
You can fix it. So go crazy.
And even if you can't fix it, eat the goop.
Yeah,
it's
you can
delicious.
still eat it. Exactly. It's not like you have to throw it out, right? So, I mean, that's the whole part of the creative process is testing.
Yeah.
Just figuring it out.
Yeah.
It's the only way you're going to learn.
And that's a perfect segue because Crystal is an author. And she's going to sign my book later. I'm going to put some B-roll in because I'm going to fangirl. But The Art of Raw Desserts, I, of course, ordered this immediately as soon as you put out.
Oh, you're so sweet.
I know. And then she was like, why did you order a copy? I would have sent you a copy with a sign. And I was like, no, I'm doing... Because pre-orders count, people. If you pre-order, the publishers have an idea of how much to produce.
How much to print,
Yes. So this, obviously, is your book of love for desserts. But here's the other thing. Crystal does all the photography. I'm going to post some pictures later. You do all the photography in this book.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, how did the book come to be? Did you approach a publisher or did they approach you?
So this is a funny story. I never wanted to do a book because I knew how much work because I know how much work it is.
Yes.
And I just knew it wasn't something that I wanted to take on. So I had some publishers.
But she did.
So I had some publishers approach me in the past and I didn't like their offers and their turnaround times were ridiculous. And so I had this publisher. It was funny because I had this publisher who I did the book with reach out to me and they asked for a meeting and I didn't take it seriously because I thought that they were going to be, the same offers as all these other guys that came to me.
Yeah.
And I kind of like brushed them off and moved the meeting and then finally showed up. Like, so we have our scheduled meeting. I show up and it was the editor and the actual president of the company and a senior editor. And I was like, okay, wow. Like this is serious. They mean business. I'm like, and then I felt so bad. I'm like, I should have taken this more seriously.
Are they from Canada?
Page Street. No, they're from the States, but they have a division in Canada.
Okay.
Macmillan. So it's called Page Street Publishing. They're huge in the States. So they really support vegan authors. Like if you look at most of their cookbooks now, I would say the majority are vegan authors. But I just really liked them. And it's funny how everything just happens at the right time. So I didn't want to do a cookbook. They had approached me, but I really liked them. I really liked their offer. They were really understanding of my busy schedule. And just everything felt really aligned. So I accepted it. I'm like, yeah, let's do this. And they gave me full creative control with some limitations, of course. I couldn't do anything too crazy advanced, obviously.
Yeah. And that's true.
For home cooks, right?
This is for home cooks. And I love... so we have an apricot, pecan, butternut squash cake with coconut cream. One
of my favorites.
Yes.
This is my version of a pumpkin pie.
Ah, yes.
Let's show them a photo because this, I always liked in raw food. In raw food, there's so many dishes that are really overdone.
Yeah.
And I don't like to do something that's the norm, like raw vegan pumpkin pie, which I have in the past and they're great, but I like to try to do something a little different and unique, and I use butternut squash because I think it turns out way better in
it's so flavorful
in raw cuisine. It's easier to work with. Yes,
but here's the thing. So just looking at this recipe, pecans, coconut sugar, cinnamon, you're using a lot of ingredients that people can easily get. Coconut milk. We're not looking at weird, crazy ingredients. And I think that's what I love about this book is because it is for home cooks, it's accessible. And the ingredients, I have some books on my little bookshelf over there, and I can't make the recipes in it because it's 50 ingredients for one thing. It's too much.
And this is one thing that Page Street is also really good at, that they work with you on, is they really want to simplify the recipes as much as possible.
Yes.
So the whole process, it made me a better recipe writer, it made me a better recipe developer, it made me just a whole better chef, made me a better food photographer because I got to do all the photos and practice with that. So
yes.
Yeah, I'm really happy that I did it. It was a lot of fun.
But at the same time that you were doing this, weren't you also developing
the course? Yeah, Raw Food Culinary Academy.
Because she just has to do all the things.
Yeah, and it's funny because I can never just do one thing at once. But this is the thing. It all comes at me at once. Literally right now, I'm working on 3 different projects. And I'm like, why can I not just have these spaced out, and I can, just work like a normal person. But yeah, I was creating Raw Food Culinary Academy at the time. And this is why the cookbook took 2 years from the date when I signed the contract until it came out.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't understand too with, cookbooks and publishing and stuff. Just because you get the contract and you sign the contract doesn't mean that it's going to come out right away. And sometimes, things get held off. Mm-hmm. But yours, your media kit.
Yeah. Do you like my media kit?
The media kit is amazing. I'm looking at this media kit.
I didn't know how did you even find my media kit?
Because I researched everything.
You're amazing.
I have a lot of notes. I have notes. But I think, for somebody that's, going to interview you or have you on, a show or in a magazine or anything, I found it was so helpful because you basically laid everything out and it's like the story. And then here's some directions you can go for questions, which I think is such a smart idea because then if people are like, I don't understand what raw, vegan, gluten-free food is, I don't understand. And then they got a framework for it.
Exactly.
And then they can see past interviews. And so I thought, wow, this is incredible.
Yeah.
But to put it together, must have taken a bit of time.
No, so actually I started working with a PR person this year to get on all of the podcasts because I did a huge podcast circuit, just kind of trying to be everywhere out there. And so she helps me she basically gave me an outline of what should go in a media kit.
Perfect.
And then I, populated all of my copy and content in there. And then I had a designer on Fiverr. Yeah. I got a designer on there to design it. She designed it and did the most amazing job. Yeah.
And I think for stuff like that too, because, especially with the book coming out, you want to be promoting it. You want people to be buying it. And it's worked out totally serendipitous.
Yeah.
Is that a word?
Serendipitously?
I don't know. We'll make it up.
Yeah.
It worked out perfectly that Crystal was actually coming to town and I'm in town at the same time.
Yeah.
So we had talked about recording the episode a while ago because as you all know that follow along, we started this process a while ago. But you're in town to promote this book.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm giving
this book. I'll put it in the show notes. Don't you worry.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. But you're here to promote the book. So you brought some copies with you, signed copies?
Yeah, well, I can sign them, yeah.
Okay.
They're not like pre-signed, but I was like, I'm going to give some to Chris that I have at Food in the Nude.
Yes.
The cafe there and sell them there and see how they do. And then if they do good, then I'm going to send her some more. But perfect. I wanted to have an excuse to come to Edmonton just because I wanted to come back and visit and eat all the amazing vegan food here.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm so happy I came.
And you know what I just realized? We didn't really define what raw, vegan, gluten-free is. So if you're wondering, and we're throwing words out, and you're like, what are they talking about? So raw would be what?
Anything. Okay, so raw is basically plant-based foods, raw living foods, nuts, seeds, vegetables, fruits, other ingredients that haven't been heated over and above the raw threshold of 118 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
But in raw cuisine, there's so many ingredients that are used that are not raw.
Yes.
But we're calling it raw because, by the time you make the dessert and all of the ingredients or whatever you're making, savory, all of the ingredients that go into it, it's, the bulk of the recipe is raw. We're not baking it. We're not cooking it. We're trying to use as many living, high nutrient dense ingredients as possible. So in that case, it just ends up being healthier because it's, sometimes it can be low glycemic and then it's automatic, most of the time gluten-free, it's plant-based, it's made with whole food ingredients that are nutrient dense. And with the desserts, I make everything really small. As you know, like in the 4-inch cakes. Use a little
Otherwise she'd have 10 freezers full of food.
Yeah. But also too, because raw food is so nutrient dense, you don't need a lot. Like I could never eat like a slice of cake from an 8-inch cheesecake. I don't know how these people do it.
I don't know how they do it. And I used to be the dessert chef at a raw vegan gluten-free restaurant. And I would make the daily dessert specials. I'd make all the desserts. And yet people would come in and they would eat a whole slice. And I was like, that's amazing. I can't eat a whole slice because they're so filling.
They're so filling because they're so full. That was that Nourish?
Yeah.
Oh, so amazing. I miss that place. Oh my gosh, I miss the dessert.
Gone. Bye-bye.
But yeah, because they're so nutrient dense, they fill you up quicker, right? It's not just empty calories that you're eating.
Yeah.
But which is good because you don't overeat. You just you feel so satiated that it's really hard to overeat.
Yeah. Yeah. And they get to use a lot of, you can use a lot of fun and sort of out there ingredients if you want. And I think for us, because we use a lot of these ingredients all the time, lucuma powder, mesquite powder, they're just normal for us to use. But for other people, they're like, you put barbecue sauce on your dessert? No, mesquite, different mesquite. Don't worry about it.
I have to explain this though all the time. And you know what? Because I do use it in the book.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember if I explained that in the beginning and all of the introduction information because I get people still asking me that. Like mesquite powder, like what is this? Like a barbecue spice?
Yeah.
No.
Not
it's actually sweet. Kind of smells like caramel.
Yeah. It's got some fiber in it. It's prebiotic.
Favorite. Yeah. One of my favorite superfoods to use because it adds such a nice layer of flavor to desserts or smoothies or whatever you want to put it in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so when you were talking about ingredients, I was going to mention that it's funny. Some people might think that a lot of those ingredients are out there because it's so normal to us. But what I do is I have a huge sourcing list on my website.
Yes.
Because I don't want people to go to the store and pay retail for all of these ingredients.
Yeah.
It can get really expensive.
Yeah.
So I give people all the links to all the bulk wholesale suppliers, basically everywhere I buy my ingredients from. So
and not just the links for Canada. She's actually not only researched other countries, but have basically crowdsourced from students being like, hey, student in New Zealand, where do you get your stuff?
Yeah.
Because some of the ingredients are harder to find, but you also have an amazing substitution list.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So if you're like, mesquite powder does not exist in my place, you can find something else that would work, or for some recipes, omit it. It's, depending on what the recipe is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think, I love raw desserts. They're the best.
They're the best. I know.
That's why there's a cookbook.
I'm taking a break though right now.
Okay, now tell me about your break.
No, I'm taking a break from raw desserts.
Okay.
From eating raw desserts.
I was like,
I'm taking a break from eating raw desserts because I started doing in-person trainings again. And see, again, everything just gets thrown at me at once, right?
Yes.
Not just one person contacted me for in-person training. It was 3 back to back.
Right, because you started doing private classes.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh.
That was just and so they all wanted to come around the same time. So I did 2. One woman came up from Michigan to learn. She's a baker, been a baker almost her whole life. And
oh my gosh.
She transitioned into raw food for health reasons and now wants to offer raw desserts into her bakery, which is,
amazing.
So amazing. So she came up for 5 days to train with me. And then I had another woman from Calgary who really got into raw food to heal fibroids. Mm-hmm. And she came and trained with me for 3 days. And then I just had another woman from Washington, D.C., who is eating raw for health as well.
Yeah.
And she trained with me for 3 days. But as you know, the one-on-one, it is very intense.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing them before when I didn't have my online business, so it was very different.
Yeah.
Now that I have my online business, it's a lot because I have to manage both.
Yeah.
And so these trainings, I had a lot of fun, but it was a lot not having an assistant to even help with dishes. We were training from 10 to 4, right? Yeah. Just straight with our lunch feasting break with, all of the food that we make. So I was eating tons of chocolate. This is why I'm mentioning this. Yes. I was eating so much dessert and chocolate, right? Because we're making chocolate truffles and no, I'm just constantly eating them every day. So this is why right now I'm just so over raw desserts.
I have a built-in dishwasher. His name is Jason. He's upstairs.
Oh my gosh, you're so lucky.
Because you do with the classes, and I find I'm now doing. So the room that we're in here is my tasting room. Mm-hmm. It's very pretty.
Very pretty.
It's so nice, and we were talking before we started recording about how nice it is to be back and I love doing the in-person stuff. And for me, to see the joy on people's face when they're right in front of you and to have them be able to ask you questions. And we still, we do about 50-50 because we still get lots of requests for our in-person online classes.
Nice.
So we've got one at like the end of October. It's going to be Halloween themed. It'll be super fun.
Nice.
But that's a client that doesn't live here, but they still want to participate, right? And so I think, yes, when they come, it is hard because, you're planning out all the training and then you're like, oh, we got to get all the ingredients, we got to make all the stuff, and then answering all the questions.
And it's, like it's 16-hour days because you are doing all of the prep before, going nonstop, and then doing all the prep after, which when I was younger, I feel like it was
when she was younger.
Now I think I'm a little too old for this. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm joking. But it's the connection, because I miss that. Online it's so different because you can't feel their energy. And you never know, because especially with online, you have some students that never need help from you. Like they're very self-sufficient. They just do their coursework, submit their assignments, and they don't ask questions, and they figure it out. And then you have some students who need a lot more support. But so having that connection, it's very important, the in-person connection. I mean, I love it. And I mean, if I could have my own, I always have a dream in the back of my head of having like an in-person school with a storefront bakery, like raw bakery cafe, obviously. Raw bakery cafe. I mean, because the in-person, and I love feeding people. You're probably
I love feeding people.
You love to feed people. I love to feed people, and I can't do that with my online, except when I have lots of food that I've made from my Zoom classes, and then I can go give it to my neighbors, which is great. But I'm not, that art of feeding people, which I really love.
And I love, so Crystal just did a master class for the mint chocolate mousse cake. Incredible. This is what I loved about it. So she put together the whole master class, and then everybody that signed up got the login. We logged in. You had pre-recorded the video, and then she was actually in the chat.
Answering questions.
Answering questions. And I think it really changed the experience for people from just kind of passively watching to actively watching so they could ask questions. And there was a lot of really great questions in the chat.
And it was super busy.
It was so busy.
I couldn't even keep up. I was like, oh my gosh. And I felt like I missed some questions. But because it was very busy. But I mean, exactly. So that's a fun way to connect online as well. And I just did my 4-week dehydrating series. I did, it was the first time that I've done, I'm going to use online course terms now, but I'll explain them in a second. It was the first time I've done a cohort. So I took a group of students on a journey from beginning to end, and we all did the coursework together, right? As opposed to when you have an evergreen course, which means a course that's just online available all the time. And they just ask questions whenever. So it's very different. They have to go through the course all together and sign up by a specific date. But it was one of the funnest things I've ever done. And that just came about because I just wanted to have fun and jump on with the community on Zoom classes and just show people how easy it is to organize and batch prep raw food so that you're able to have just 4 weeks of raw food. And so that's how that was born. And I didn't even think that I would get a lot of people sign up. I got more people than I thought that I would get. And also the engagement and the participation was through the roof. And to me, I'm like, that's what makes a successful course is the participation. I want the students to actually be doing the work, not just buy this course and it just sits there and they never get to it. Right. But that was fun because it was a mix of pre-recorded and live. So every week a new module opened up that focused on a specific category. And they had the pre-recorded stuff that they could do on their own time. And then we met for 2 days of Zoom classes, 2 days in a row, because I wanted them to make it with me. And, with raw food, you got to make it and then let it dehydrate or set. So then it's ready the next day. So that was so much fun. Now the thing I wish I could do that all the time, but it's super unsustainable.
Time consuming.
For the business owner. So I'm just trying to figure out a way how I can, incorporate that into what I'm doing now.
So that course, in case you didn't catch it, was a dehydration course. So using the dehydrator to create granolas, fruit leathers, crust
we did
cookies.
So 1 week was breads.
Banana bread.
I came up with these amazing new breads, and I needed somewhere to teach them. And then we did 1 week of crackers, wraps, dips, spread. So, I mean, even though we were making these components, I still showed people how to put them together as a meal.
Yeah.
And so week 1, was preparation week.
Yes. Like getting all your nuts and seeds
showing
and everything
everyone
ready.
how to get it organized, how to prep everything for the weeks ahead. And then the last week was gourmet raw vegan meals. So it was just a really good mix of stuff.
And I think, and that's one of the things that we used to do at a place that I shall not name. I worked at a terrible place. I'm not naming it. But when I was there, we did all the batch stuff because we needed granola all the time. We needed to have, different types of bars all the time. And so we would batch all the crackers and bars and everything like that. We always had big, giant, basically buckets full of nuts that were already activated, already dehydrated and stuff. And so then they were always ready to go.
Yeah.
And that's, especially with the raw food, it can be easy. It doesn't have to be hard if you prep.
Exactly. And this is exactly what I was teaching. Yeah. And especially, that's the thing, having all of your activated nuts and seeds. You don't have to remember to soak them. They're just exactly ready to go. And all of the ground flax, pre-grinding your flax and pre-grinding your psyllium and all of this kind of sprouted and dehydrated buckwheat.
Yes. So on a future episode soon, but not right now because I'm home today and then I'm leaving till like the end of October. But I'm going to make a recipe from your book. And I'm going to show everybody how amazing it is.
That'd be awesome.
And then I'm going to sit and eat it in front of you all. That's mean.
So exciting.
But maybe I'll have somebody come over and eat it with me.
Yeah. Oh, too bad I didn't bring you anything. Oh.
I know. First thing she says, I didn't bring you anything. I'm like, it's okay.
I really wanted to. But also too, it's so hard to. I would have to have my cooler bag and.
Yeah. And I wasn't really supposed to be home right now, so this was happy coincidence that I was actually home. Perfect. So I think I'm gonna just look at the little notes here because I think
we went took like a big U-turn.
We totally did. But
fork in the road.
That is okay. I think one of the things, and this is just like a super weird, fun, out of there question. If you could go to any restaurant in the world, where would you go to eat?
Yeah, so it's when I saw that question, I was like, how do I even answer this? Because I have lots of places that I love going. And as a chef and as a creative, when people ask you, what is your favorite food? What do you say? Do you have a favorite food? You don't,
no,
right?
No, I can't.
Exactly. Because
there's too many.
We're foodies. We love
food.
Food.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's the same thing with the restaurants. Like I love all different ones for different reasons, and I would go to different ones for different reasons. Like I was telling Colleen earlier today, because I just flew in from Vancouver this morning, that I couldn't wait to go to some of the vegan food places here because we don't have any healthy stuff in Vancouver right now. And so I'm like, and I literally ate 2 meals back to back.
Landed in Edmonton, 8.
Yeah, it was like because I wanted to experience the food at both places. So I mean, it's so different. I mean, there's places in Bali that I love. There is a raw food restaurant in the States called Elizabeth's Gone Raw. Have you ever heard of it?
I have not.
It's in Washington, D.C. It's a fine dining, fancy raw food restaurant.
Fancy.
And that's definitely at the top of my list to experience. I would love to go there. I mean, for me too, because I love healthy food, I'm going to pick healthy food, like healthy vegan places.
You're not going to the Heart Attack Grill.
No, exactly. And I don't even crave that food, nor...
I know, right?
I mean, it's funny. I literally crave green juice and green smoothies. This is the food that I love. So, I mean, it's all these different places for different reasons. But if there was one at the top of my list that I haven't tried and I wanted to try it, would be the Elizabeth's Gone Raw in Washington, D.C.
I'll put a link in the show notes.
Yeah.
And then maybe somebody can go there and then they can tell us how it was since we have not been there yet. Yeah. Just traveling around and eating at different restaurants is fun because you see what they're doing and you kind of get your brain. You're like, oh.
It gives you inspiration.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it so much. And everybody on the podcast already knows that I eat at Kalina twice a week. Hi, Brad.
Oh, Kalina.
Nice. Yeah. That's where we eat all the time.
Yeah.
So people are going to find you. No, and you said there was something else you had to tell me or you were going to ask me or...
Oh, yeah, but off. We can it doesn't have to be on here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. It's just about, it's just about.
It's a thing you can't know, so it's fine.
It doesn't even relate to this anyway.
People want to find you. How are they going to find you? Where are they going to find you?
So my business name is my website, my social media, which is Crystal Dawn Culinary, DAWN.
Yes.
CrystalDawnCulinary.com. You go to my website and then you can find everything from there. You can find all the links to my cookbook. You can find all the links to my courses.
Instagram.
Yeah.
All of it. Yes.
Exactly.
We'll put all of that in the show notes. And thank you. This was so fun. I told Crystal, I said, I put together all of her questions, like everybody. I'll show you my Trello in a minute. I put together everything like 2 years ago because I was going to get this all done. And then I just haven't had any time because I run around like a lunatic, like you. I'm doing 5,000 things.
Doing so many things. Yeah.
But then when she was like, I'm going to be in town, I'm like, I'm going to be home. The universe wanted us to have this conversation in person.
It just like worked out so far. And I literally just messaged you like, 3 days ago? Maybe last week.
I think it was 2 days ago.
I feel like it was very short notice.
Oh no! The problem is she sent me a Facebook message, and I never check Facebook. And then
right. And then I messaged you on Instagram.
She remembered. If you need to get a hold of me, all of y'all, if you need to get a hold of me, just Instagram me. I'm not checking anything else. Yeah. I don't even listen to messages on my phone. Don't even bother.
Yeah, no, me neither. It's so hard to keep up. I know.
It's
with
hard.
The emails and the messages. Yes. And then I was just told that I had to join TikTok. Are you on TikTok?
No.
Oh,
don't do it.
No, but so I saw a lot of my colleagues. I see you there.
Are they doing the dances?
No, but their posts do way better on TikTok. Like for a business standpoint, it's good to be on there. But I just joined it. But of course, like I don't do anything with it because how can I manage Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok and emails? And my online system, like it's just ridiculous.
It's too many. Something has to give.
No, exactly. So, I don't know.
No, we don't do TikTok. No. We do Instagram. I can't. It's the pressure to perform. I can't do it. It's so hard.
It's a lot. Yeah, I just basically took all my reels from Instagram and I posted them on TikTok.
Yeah. There you go. Excellent. Well, you have many more meals to eat while you are in Edmonton.
Yeah.
And I am leaving for a giant food symposium where I'm going to fangirl all over people. So that cookbook right there behind me, I'm getting her autograph tomorrow. Yeah, I'm making Crystal sign my book today. And I'm so excited about this food symposium. And I wish that you had known about it, but it was
I had no idea about it.
I know. I missed it last year. I had FOMO about it. So this year I'm going. And I'll tell you everything. And then maybe next year, like we should take over. We should be presenting.
Maybe.
I think so. That's what I think. Terroir Symposium. See how cute we are? Yeah, we should be presenting.
Yes, we should.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for doing this. It was so fun.
Thank you for having me on such short notice.
Yes, it was perfect. And
I appreciate it.
We'll get this all edited up and out onto all the platforms, and we'll put all the show notes and get people connected with you.
Awesome.
So, awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for watching.
Everybody. Have a good day.